guys, it's Jim and Jay from Jim and Jay's Final Say, post Liverpool FA Cup defeat video. Here in my car, just been to record the FYP podcast, and now I'm back home to mix the podcast. But I thought I'd check in with you guys and sort of give you my thoughts on the Liverpool game. I don't feel like I haven't done one of these videos for a while actually. I think before Leicester, I think was the last time I did one. That was a great win, much needed. And then we had Newcastle in midweek, which I actually thought Palace played very well in, or unlucky not to win, to be honest, but bit of a slack goal to give away. And then not quite the sort of final cutting edge to score a second goal. And against Liverpool, though, it didn't really click for us, did it? Well, I kind of think we were the second best team throughout the game. We all sort of played it as the away team, really, sort of containing Liverpool and looking to hit on the break. I know Pardew has talked about trying to sort of cultivate the team to play a bit more football, and we are doing that, but it did feel like Liverpool, for once in the last few games that we played against them, came out strong and were on the front foot and didn't look as nervous as they had done against us in previous games, and that possibly because of the last few results. They looked very keen to win. I thought they were strong. The return of Daniel Sturridge obviously sort of helped for them to have a natural focal point up front, and he scored. A few criticisms even. Of Speroni for the goals. I don't think he really could have done much more for them. I think he was let down by his defence, really, for both goals. I think Kelly should have done better with Sturridge for the first one, and no one really reacted to Balotelli's free kick for the second. It looked a bit like Liverpool sort of practiced that, so that was disappointing. There was a nice goal from Campbell and good play from Gale, but Gale then misses an absolute sitter a few minutes later, before half time, which would have been, well, maybe not a sitter, a very good save from Mignolet, but you'd put your money on Gale scoring those. So I don't know, it just didn't really sort of click for Palace against Liverpool. But you know, it's only a cup game, I guess. Although I know before the game everyone was talking about, oh, isn't it Pardew's in charge? It's Liverpool. This is our time to have a run in the cup. But you know, in the end, it wasn't to be, and that's fine. I think I'd rather stay up, to be honest, than win the FA Cup. If we stay up, it's more progress, and then we'll tap the FA Cup next season. We're certainly on an upward curve under Pardew at the moment. Obviously, Jednak hopefully be back next week for Arsenal, as will MacArthur. So, you know, we missed a few people. Pape Soiré played his first game at left back, and I thought did all right. You know, it needs to settle a bit, but looks pacey and keen. And, you know, crucially for left back, has a left foot, which obviously helps. So I think there's certainly promise there. And interesting to see Hangeland. I don't know what the deal is with Delaney, but Hangeland seems to be sort of working his way back into the team and not doing too bad, I don't think. So that's certainly an interesting one, because I think most people at the start of the season would have said Delaney and Dan. You know, Hangeland had a few bad games, but he seems to be working his way in. So I don't know, a frustrating day really, or especially having gone ahead against Liverpool. But doesn't that show, you know, how far we've come, that we're frustrated about losing to Liverpool? When, you know, a few years ago we'd have been, you know, not giving ourselves a chance, but here we are, and we're giving teams like Liverpool and Newcastle, you know, proper games. So it's not too bad, Palace fans. We're doing all right. Well, I'm going to sign off now. I've got to go back inside to my flat, and there's people watching me as I do this, thinking, who's the weird guy talking into the phone in his car? So don't forget you can subscribe and all that jazz. Oh, and thanks to everyone that watched my Let It Sonogo video in the last week or so. I had a lot of hits on that and a lot of nice comments, so thank you very much. You can watch it again here. Can we do a little link here? So, but yeah, thanks very much for that. Subscribe to my channel if you want. There's loads of videos on there and silly stuff. That's it from me. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beak, and we will see you next week after Arsenal, another big game. So see you then. Bye.
Hi guys, welcome to the latest video for Palace Fan TV. Hope you've enjoyed Jim Daly's views on the Newcastle and Liverpool games at Selhurst Park. I'm here to share my views as well, and hopefully they're slightly different to Jim's. Might be the same, I don't know. We've done this quite separately, so we'll see. But Newcastle, game that's built up to be against Pardew's former side. He knows Newcastle well, having left 4 or 5 weeks before. And in truth, it was a game where two teams cancelled each other out in a way, and Newcastle set up to get a point, to be honest, from the start. They tried to play through their wide men, had Cisse, the big man up front. But as with previous games at Selhurst, Selhurst used to be great under the lights during the week, and Palace had a good record. But this season hasn't been the case. I mean, two games that stand out are Sunderland at home, Villa at home as well, where we struggle to break down teams which defend at Palace. And I suppose you could say Palace could take that as as a lot of progress, because teams aren't coming to Palace these days, thinking that they can get 3 points straight away. But we're finding it difficult to break down teams which are defensive, and that's probably why we're playing better away from home, because we're getting the chances to break and getting more space perhaps. But back to the Newcastle game, we were 1-0 down at half time through a Cisse goal. It was a deep cross out wide, which arguably you could say that it should have been cut out before it came in. But perhaps that's being harsh. But Speroni didn't do great when not Speroni, Delaney didn't do great when the ball came across. He kind of lost his man, and Cisse had a free header, which he's not going to turn. He's not going to miss from there really. So second half, it was all to play for really. Pardew made some changes, and they worked in a way, because Newcastle, let us play at them, and thankfully we got the goal back. Balassi made an immediate impact, his first game back since coming back from the African Nations Cup, and he made a great cross into the box. I think it must have been his first touch, and Campbell threw himself at the ball and beat Krul. So Palace were good value for coming back to get the equaliser, to be honest. We pushed for a winner, and we could have had it through Hangeland. Great ball into the box, and Hangeland rose and headed it down. It looked like it was going in, but Krul at full stretch touched it wide. So I think we on the balance of play, I think we were perhaps good enough to get 3 points, but you can't argue that both teams getting a point was probably a fairer result. So I see it as progress, because we haven't done well against defensive-minded teams at Palace, and we fought back in this one and got a point. So maybe that's something Pardew's seen, looked at, and this time we've come back to get something out of the game, which keeps our points column ticking over in the Premier League. So I'm pleased with that. Performance-wise, Hangeland played well for Palace in the absence of Scott Dan, who missed out through a head injury. But yeah, I think it was a relatively decent team performance. We do need to go at teams a bit more at home, I think, who are defensive minded. But we did have a go. Shamak played well again, and also Punch in second half was put into the middle, into midfield when Ledley went left back, and he looked pretty good actually. And he tends to hold the ball quite well, and he seemed to do a lot more in that middle of the pitch position. So whether that's something that we might see a bit more of during games as the season goes on, we'll have to wait and see. But moving on to the Liverpool game in the FA Cup, that was Saturday evening. I mean, to be honest, most fans consider it to be a bit of a freebie. It's away from the pressure of the Premier League, but a game against Liverpool at home. And to be fair, it was about time they got a result against us at home, and it turned out that way. It was an FA Cup tie. I must admit the crowd weren't, as perhaps, certainly around me there was a lot of empty seats. So I think fans perhaps are focusing a little bit more on the Premier League. That was my own view from being at a game. The atmosphere was no different. The Homestyle Fanatics did a great banner with Pardew in the Homestyle end, which was great. Built up the atmosphere before the game. But as for the game, Liverpool kind of had the measure of us pretty much. I mean, Dwight Gale was busy scaring the hell out of their back line. I think they are very concerned about him with his past goal scoring against them, and he was instrumental in the goal actually. A great ball from Ledley. The defence couldn't clear it, and Gale was there to cause a bit of trouble. I think he headed it, and Mignolet made the initial save, but Campbell was there to put it home to give Palace a lead, which was great. And against Liverpool again, it looked like we were starting to turn the screw on them again at Selhurst Park, which much to their annoyance. And we could have had a second. We could have gone 2-0 up by half time. But unfortunately, Liverpool kind of had the measure of us in the second half. Brought Balotelli at half time, Balotelli and Sturridge up front for them. And while Balotelli gets a lot of grief, I mean, he did what he needed to do yesterday and helped Sturridge. Sturridge with a decent goal through Speroni's legs. And the sucker punch was a winner. It turned out to be the winner. A Balotelli free kick, which was followed in by Lallana. Speroni saved it well, but Lallana was following in it quicker than any of our defenders. So I think it's probably a Liverpool win, which was justified. I don't think we did quite enough to get much out of the game, but we had our chances. We had chances to get something, get at least a draw out of it, but it wasn't to be. Decent, good to see Suarez play at left back for us. Made his debut. He looks a bit nervous to start with. Made a few nervous touches, but I think he grew into the game a bit. I think he got a bit of criticism at the end of the game by Pardew, but I think both fitness and bit of fitness in the team and training with the team a bit more will help him out. But I think it looks a bit promising having a left back with a left foot and a natural left back. Got a bit of pace on him as well, which is good. So there's a few decent performances. Ledley played well in the middle. Got a bit overran in the second half with Joel Ward next to him. I think Joel Ward disappeared a little bit too much in that defensive midfield role. But yeah, let's face it, 5th round in the FA Cup, decent run. But we're beaten by a better side, unfortunately. But we move on to bigger and better things now. We take on Arsenal at the weekend, which is a game we could do getting a point or two out of. So we'll see what happens there. Thanks for watching the video. By all means, leave us your comments below the video at Palace Fan TV on Twitter or at 5 Beer Plan on Twitter and Eaglespeak. We're happy to answer any questions that you chuck our way, or just leave your feedback. We're very happy to receive it. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.